Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday, to my Codex Adeptus Mechanicus, Cult Mechanicus review. I'm going to be looking at this codex, talking about it, comparing it. So yeah, if you haven't already checked out my Scutarii review, but combined, as I said in this codex review, we're probably going to be combining the two codices and making one large one with hopefully a transport, a flyer, something like that. But for this video, we're just going to concentrate on this Cult Mechanicus book. It is the same amount of pages. It is 80 pages. Ironically, exactly the same number as here. And yes, I still believe that they made one codex and they split it into two. They didn't need to. They could have just called it Codex Adeptus Mechanicus. Because let's see, look, they've both got that name, but they've split it into two forces. So they didn't need to split it. They could have just kept it in one book. But what they've done is they've split it. If they can get £44 out of you instead of 25, then they're going to do that, aren't they? An extra 19 quid. Let's have a look at the codex itself then. So lovely, nice cover. I love the kind of grim, dark, steampunkish kind of artwork that they've got going. You know, you've got the kind of chemistry, kind of fluid vials, you've got the art kind of technology, you've got this, you don't really know what's under the hood, it's got these weapons coming out of it, power axe, you've got all this arcane, you know, you kind of got Dr. Octopus happening, like servo skull, you've got all these kind of like different things, inspiration, or do these things inspire those? I'm not sure. Let's have a little look. So lovely codex, lovely artwork. Straight away you've got these Electro Priests. They just look odd in my opinion. You've got these kind of gene spliced, pumped up, muscular kind of dudes that are blind or whatever. They just look odd. In my opinion, they just look odd, out of place. Probably been in the, you know, in the fluff and things for years. But the things that draw my attention is the Dominus himself, the Cataphron destroyers, breaches, I think they're the destroyers, and then the Imperial Knight. Those kind of three things look really, you know, they look grim dark, they look part of the universe. Unfortunately, the Castellan robots and the Electro Priests, I can't see them fitting in. That's all. That's just my opinion. I mean, I know that the Castellan kind of predate heresy and they're stupidly old and things like that, and they just kind of show the Mechanicum's unwillingness to change the designs and things like that. But saying that, there are plenty of nice looking robots and Cybernetica in the Tagmata list, so be that as it may. Let's have a little look. So again, you've got some wonderful artwork. Like I said before, it kind of looks like something out of the second Spider-Man movie that's going on. But you've got some lovely artwork. You've got, again, lovely artwork. Little priest there. You've got like the makeup of the Adeptus Mechanicus. You've got him with his power axe, and I love how they do this. I wish they did it with all of the models, because they did it with the Scutarii Ranger. I just think it's incredible when you've got lovely artwork like this, and then you've got bits of text just describing each part. I think it's incredible. You've got this kind of like, oh, big robot smashing I think it's a killer can actually. Again, you've got some nice artwork. You've got all the temples this time of the Omnissiah. And then you've got the quest for knowledge, just like a timeline running along. And then it goes on about the Dark Eldar, how somehow the Dark Eldar have helped them fix the Golden Throne, spoiler alert. And then you've got Tech Priest on there. It's just lovely artwork. I'm so chuffed that they continue to make artwork for their codices, and then it goes through each one of the units, from the Cataphron breaches, which have the better armor save, to the destroyers, which have the better guns. I think you've got the Electro Priests, the Castellan robots. I mean, that's not too bad. I can live with that. That's not too bad. And then you've got these, which I just don't understand. I mean, I understand how they did it for the Imperial Knights, that's fine, but I think they just took that idea and put it into all these codices, and I don't know whether it works for other because I just can't imagine them doing this for Tyranids, but we'll see. Or even for orcs, I don't know whether they did it for orcs. And look, you've got, it's just copy and paste, but just change colour. Yeah, and they don't look good no matter what colour they're in. I mean, the yellow one looks all right, I suppose, but lovely little bit of photos here. Lovely. There we go. Some more. It's almost like how many times can you shoot the same shot, really. It's, yeah. And then you've got some heavy metal pictures too. The one thing they have got right is the battle damage. I really do like the battle damage and things that they put on them. But I'm just not keen on the silver kind of shield or visor, whatever they call it. Right, so forces of the Mechanicum. Let's have a little look. So in this one, different to the Scutarii, where you only need 2 troops, in here it follows a similar kind of pattern. It follows a kind of more of a standard pattern. So you've got 2 troops and 1 HQ. That's the things that you need to bring. And you've got optional 6, 4 elites, only 2 heavy support, 1 fortification. Let's have a look at the units themselves. So get ready for the massive Cult Mechanicus war gear list. All I've got is special issue war gear and the Arcana Mechanicum. That's all that there is for the war gear list. Just literally 2 pages, 77 and 78. So not really many options to take in this booklet. It's literally just a case of the HQ, the only HQ that you must take. So every single Cult Mechanicus army will have a Dominus. You have to have one. It's 105 points. In my opinion, he is scarily one of the best HQs in the whole of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Not only is a fantastically cool model, unfortunately everybody's Dominus is going to look the same, which is pretty poor. I would have liked more customization, just being able to move the arms or the power axe or the weapon, have it aim. You create this wonderful universe, you should be able to, inject that creativity and ingenuity and all the rest of it into your models. It's nice that they've got such a lovely model. When everybody's got the same looking model, it just deters it a little bit. I suppose he will say, well, not everybody's going to have lots of Cult Mechanicus armies together, are they? It's probably just going to be one. I understand that, but from kind of like a collector's point of view, everybody's going to have the same model. It's going to be painted slightly differently, but I'd rather have the ability to just change a few things of that one model. But Games Workshop seem to be always moving towards this either limited edition or unipose models for more of a price than models that you can pose and have different poses. Anyway, let's have a look at his stat line. So his weapon skill 4. Could be better. Ballistic skill 5 though, great. Strength 4, toughness 4. He's got 3 wounds, initiative 3, not liking that. He's got 2 attacks, not liking that. His leadership's 9, but he does get a 2+ save. And he has a refractor field, which I think is a 5+. Yeah, so he's got a 5+ invulnerable save. He's got a lot of war gear. So he's got the Artificer armour, which gives him this 2+ save. He's got Volkite Blaster, Macro Stubber, Power Axe, Mechadendrite Harness, Scryer Skull, and his Refractor Field. And his special rules, he's got Canticles of the Omnissiah, Feel No Pain, Independent Character, and Relentless. He's got the Master of Machines. So it's worth it just having him if you've got a lot of, I don't know, Imperial Knights or tanks for Imperial Guards, something like that. Instead, in each of his shooting phases, instead of firing one of his weapons, he can choose to either repair a single friendly vehicle as base contact with, or restore a wound lost early in the battle. And he can do this on a 2+ or more, and you can restore a hull point nominated vehicle lost early in the battle, or a weapon destroyed or immobilised result suffered early in the battle, and it's effective immediately. Restoring a wound, he can any model with Scutarii or Cult Mechanicus faction in his unit regains a A wound lost early in the battle, effective immediately. So it does have to be part of the unit to repair it, but that can be himself. So he can just, you know, instead of firing, he can just repair his wound. I don't know whether that works in close combat, because you're kind of like tied up, so you can't really shoot. I'd say you can't do that, but it's not quite clear, really. I mean, if you're in combat, you're in combat, you can't really shoot. You can't have an extra turn to shoot. So I'd say you can't repair or, you know, restore your wound. That's what I would say. Then he can change his Volkite Blaster with an Eradication Ray, which I chose, and Macrostubber with Phosphor Serpenta, which I didn't. So 105 points. I'd given the Eradication Beam myself. I'd ummed and ahed for ages. I spent absolutely ages deciding whether or not it was worth me changing out the weapons and things. I did choose the Eradication Ray, just because it is 0 to 12 inches. It's strength 8, AP 1, which is good. 12 to 24 inches, strength 6, but it's AP 3 blast. So that's going to be great. You can knock out a few Space Marines or Striking Scorpions, something like that, some elite units. And because he's relentless, he can obviously do that and move and things like that. However, I did keep the Macrostubber. They've given it a burst pistol. Essentially, you've got 5 shots, and it's just like a bolt pistol, really, but with a little bit worse AP. I didn't go for the Phosphor Serpenta, just because there's plenty of other things in my army that I'm planning that will have the phosphor weapons. So yeah, absolutely incredible HQ. Don't leave home without one. Then you got the troops. Now, when I first found out that these heavy dudes were the troops, I just almost collapsed, because to me they look like heavy support. They'd be heavy support in other armies and things like that. I always thought that you'd have your Tech Priest Dominus, then you'd have your Scutarii Rangers and Vanguard as the troops. These guys would be heavy support. I just thought that that would be the case, because they've got crazy weapons, good saves, and they're quite high points cost. They're essentially 50 points each, more than a Terminator. And the damage output, I'll go through their stats. It's up to you which ones you want to go for. They're both pretty decent, but if you're a shooty army, you want to go for the destroyers, which is a shame that they've only got 4+ save, but it kind of makes sense because the breachers have this claw thingy. They're a bit more closer range, so they need the 3+ save. So their stats is weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, toughness 5, 2 wounds each, initiative 3, 1 attack, leadership 8, and save 3+. These have got this rule, the heavy battle servitor rule, which means they can't make run moves, but they can fire up to 2 weapons in each shooting phase. Normally, if you've got a heavy weapon, you can only fire 1. Well, if you bought 2, you could only fire 1. And they count as stationary when firing heavy or salvo weapons, even if they moved in the previous movement phase. And they're also allowed to charge in the same turn they fired rapid fire, heavy, or salvo, which is very decent. So they've got this Arc Claw, which is their close combat kind of weapon. And the Arc Claw is strength 1, AP 5, melee, haywire. So haywire, that's, you know, a 2-up, you're going to be glancing a vehicle, which isn't too bad. But remember, they can't make run moves, but they can assault, even if they use their heavy arc rifle. And the heavy arc rifle isn't too shabby. It's haywire, it's 2 shots, it's range 36, and it's strength 6. So on a 2+ at vehicles, you're going to be popping hull points off. You have 3 of them, that's 6 shots. Yeah, their ballistic skills 3, pretty poor. So you're going to be hitting on 5s, I think it is. No, you're going to be hitting on 4s, so you've got 50-50 chance. Say 3 of them get by, and you've got 3, you know, most likely 3 of them are going to be knocking glancing hits. You're going to be getting 3 glancing hits. You might be lucky, got 1 in 6 chance of getting a penetrating hit. So that vehicle, on average, if they've got 2 or 3 hull points, is going to die. So 36 inches, you've got a good chance of knocking out a vehicle per turn with these from 36 inches, and that's just their standard weapons. You can give them a torsion cannon for free, and then you can upgrade their claws with hydraulic claws, which basically doubles their strength to strength 10, and it's got this iron grasp. It can choose a single grasp attack, rolls to hit, and it's got AP 2. I mean, it's going to bump up the strength anyway, so it can either have 1 attack, which it's got anyway. So that's what you want to be doing. You want to be using this iron grasp attack. if you can, because its normal attack is going to be strength 10, but no AP. It's up to you whether you want to do that. Yeah, so the grav weaponry, they keep doing this. They keep pushing it into rule books and things. I don't know why. It's like it gets annoying after a while, but the graviton, minimum of 6+. That when firing, roll to need to wound is always equal to the armor save of the target. So Space Marine, you need 3+, and so on. 1 to 5 on armor penetration. 1 to 5, nothing happens, but on a 6, you get immobilized and there's a single hull point of damage. So you're only getting a 1 in 6 chance of actually doing anything, you know, vehicle-wise, but you are getting 18 shots. So you would think that's 3 of those shots on average are gonna, you know, immobilize it, but also knock a hull point off. So it's not too bad, but really good against elite units and monstrous creatures. So in a way, they're probably better off at vehicles, and these guys are probably better off at heavily armed targets, creatures with multiple wounds, things like that. And you could also replace it with a Cognis Flamer if you really want. So that's all the troops. Actually, just one box set, just the troops just there. Then you got these guys, which I'm not too familiar with. I don't really like the models as much. They're the Electro Priests. You've got the Fulgurite and the Corpuscarii Electrode Priests. The Fulgurite is pretty cool because you've got this siphoned vigor, where if you completely destroy an enemy unit, you get a 3+ invulnerable instead of a 5+. What are the chances of you destroying a complete unit? I don't know, because each one of these guys has only got 1 wound. Their strength is 3, their toughness is 3, their initiative is 3. They get 2 attacks, which is alright, but again, without a solid delivery method, they've got 5+ invulnerable save because of the Voltagast field, which isn't too bad. But still, it's 5+ on something that's easy to wound, and you know, hasn't got the best initiative. Then you've got the Corpuscarii, which have, instead of the stave, they've got the gauntlets, and they can kind of like shoot the gauntlets. And on 6s, they cause 2 additional hits on the target, so you still have to obviously wound. Again, similar stat line. They kind of reflect the points, really, 90 points, but you can have 20 in each if you really want. So you can have a squad of 20 of these guys. I'm not quite sure if they're all going to look very similar though. That's those, and they're the elites. And then finally, you get probably one of the most overpowered kind of units in the whole of 40k, in my opinion. Now, as bad as these models look, the rules are really awesome. He is a really cool model, but these two, they're showing their age. I think like their technology, like I said at the start of the video, kind of predates Horus Heresy, and they haven't really changed the design and things too much. But if you like good looking robots and Cybernetica, go for a Tagmata army list rather than a Mechanicus. Now let's just have a look at the stat line for these Castellan robots. So they come as a maniple, which is 290 points, which already is 290 points. What on earth do you get for that? Well, you get the 2 robots, and you get a Cybernetica Datasmith, which is this dude here. The Datasmith's got Artificer Armour, so you get your 2+, Gamma Pistol, which isn't too shabby, Data Spike, Power Fist, and he's got a Refractor Field, so he's getting an invulnerable save. He's also got Feel No Pain and Canticles on Omnisire. The robots have got Battle Hide, which is a 3+ save, Carapace Mounted Incendiary Combustor, and 2 Power Fists. So they're already coming with a decent Flamer and 2 Power Fists. Again, they've got Canticles and they've got Fearless. The stat line of the Datasmith is Weapon Skill 3, Ballistic Skill 4, Strength 4, Toughness 4, 2 Wounds, Initiative 3, Attacks 2, Leadership 9, and Save 2+. And then the robots are Weapon Skill 3, Ballistic Skill 3, Strength 6, Toughness 7, Wounds 3, Initiative 2, Attacks 2, Leadership 7, and Save 3. So their strength is alright, their toughness is very good, and they've got 3 wounds. Everything else is a bit meh. They've got these Castellan battle protocols, which is pretty cool. They always start the game with Aegis protocol, which is they have Feel No Pain. So they start off battle with Feel No Pain. But So long as your datasmith is in the unit, you pick a protocol and it's not active until your next turn, and then it replaces the previous one. So you can have Conqueror, where they double their attacks characteristic, but cannot make any shooting attacks, or Protector, they can fire the carapace amount of weapons twice, but cannot move under any circumstances. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. The big thing that they've got though is this repulsor grid. They have a 5+ invulnerable save against shooting attacks. Whenever it passes its saving throw of a 6, the shot's deflected, and the unit that fired suffers an immediate hit resolved with the strength, AP value and special rules of that attack, but it can't reflect blast, template or psychic shooting attacks. So I'll just fire a missile at him, 3+ to hit. I think it's 3 to wound because he's toughness 7. So it's hit, it's wounded, do my save, I got a 6. That shot is then deflected at that guy, at that unit. So all I'd have to do is roll a 2+. That missile launcher dude, well, one in the unit is then dead. So that's pretty horrific, really, because it says against shooting attacks, 5+ against shooting attacks. So I'd love to fire a destroyer weapon that doesn't have a blast template, if such things exist. That's just horrific, that repulsor grid. Horrific. The chance that on 6s, on your saves, you can just bounce everything back. I think that's what makes them. You can have up to 4 additional robots. You can have 4 robots, and you can have up to 2 additional cybernetic datasmiths. So that's worth mentioning. You can have another 2 datasmiths. So that's going to help with your protocols. The robot may replace Power Fist with twin-linked heavy phosphor blaster. That's an extra 10 points per model. I don't know whether I'd do that. I mean, the phosphor blasters are amazing, but I would change the Incendiary Combustor with a carapace mounted phosphor blaster. It's probably worth doing that. It depends if there's a lot of cover and who you're up against. I don't know how I'd run them. Initially, I'd like to have them as they're shown there, with the Power Fists, maybe the Flamer. I'll probably change to the phosphor though, and with the twin-linked heavy phosphor blasters. Notice they're not just phosphor blasters, they're twin-linked heavy, and this one here is also a heavy. So you're pumping out 2 heavy phosphor weapons, which is 36-inch, 3 shots, strength 6, AP 3, and it has luminogen. So just bear that in mind. You'll have 6 shots, 3 of those that will be twin-linked. Yeah, you're hitting 4s up to hit, which sucks a little bit. But you can use a protective protocol to then fire the carapace one twice. So you could basically pump out 9 shots of strength 6 AP 3. That's gonna murder an awful lot of things if you really wanted to. So this is the real star of the book. Well, this and the Dominus, they're the real 2 stars of the book, in my opinion. I mean, the Breaches and the Destroyers are pretty decent too, but this and the Dominus, however funky you think these models look, like I did, they have got some very decent rules. That's them, and that is all of the units. I'll now go on to the formations. You've got the Cohort Cybernetica, which I probably would use. You've got the Tech Priest Dominus and 2 robot manacles. So you have your 4 robots and then your Dominus, and that's your formation. It's got Targeting Override, Adeptive Cybernetica, which is pretty cool because obviously he's going to be buffing these, and he can just, bump up their wounds. He can bump up the Datasmith wounds. He can bump up his own wounds instead of shooting, which is just, you have them moving, and you've got a solid wall there that can soak up a lot, that can reflect a lot, and that can repair, and it's got Feel No Pain. I mean, it's pretty tough, pretty resilient, and with the weapons, pretty unstoppable kind of unit to have to deal with as it's slowly creeping up the table. You support that with some Breaches of Destroyers as an advance. The only thing that's going to get them is if something drop pods nearby or something deep stripes within their lines assaults them and really messes with them, because they haven't got that much to counteract. The Dominus is not too bad in combat, and if you've got a Castellan with Power Fist, even the Datesmith's got Power Fist, it can deal with them, but you just got to be wary of a large model unit with Power Sword attacks or something like that, or a unit that has kind of low AP weaponry But even then, you're deflecting and you feel no pain in, and you're repairing your wounds and things. So that's quite formidable. You've got an elimination mana pool, so you've got 3 Castellan robot mana pools, and you've got 2 to 3 Cataphon destroyers. Not the breachers, but the destroyers. And then you've got this elimination volley. It's quite decent. You've got a numinous conclave, units of Electro Priests essentially. Then you've got Holy Requisitioner, 1 Dominus, and then 2-3 units of breachers. Basically, you place them in deep strike, and then they don't scatter as long as they're placed within 6 inches of the formation's tech priest. Pretty decent way of like getting them there. But again, like the Scutarii, you haven't really got a good, reliable deployment method. You haven't got a flyer that can zoom in, drop them down. You haven't got a land raider to put them in and take them across the board. And you haven't got reliable kind of deep strike either. So they're going to be a force that's on the table that are going to probably soak up a lot of hits and repair and have the feel no pain and things. But when they get kind of close, 36 inches or less, they're going to dish out a lot of pain. With these guys, you're best off sitting far back, shooting at them, closing the gap quickly and getting into assault with them, or popping up out of nowhere with deep strike and things like that, and then taking them on, causing havoc. These are a very, like the fluff I suppose, they're very kind of moving, slowly advancing, firing with high damage weaponry, and sponging a lot of hits and things. They're very, very fluffy in that regards. If you want to see even more fluff, the Mechanicum is even better armor saves, better toughnesses, and even more lethal weaponry. So let's go through the rest of this. So you've got the appendix with the Warlord Traits. You've got the Canticles of the Omnissiah. Essentially, at the start of each of your turns, you can choose one of the Canticles. It lasts until the start of the next turn, and it can only be used once per game. And you have to have, the units with the Canticles. So the more units you have, the effect that it has on them. Then you've got the weapons, your ranged weapons. So the arc weapons are crazy. Graviton weapons are pretty good. And you've got the torsion, plasma calibers, different armours, special issue war gear, your Arcania Mechanicum, and I like your relics of Mars really, tactical objectives, and then your very short profiles. So you've got 1 HQ, 2 troops, 2 elites, and 2 heavy support. Well, I say 2, it's 1 really, it's your Castellan Robot Mana Pool, which is kind of 1. So there you go, again, very short codex, running at 80 pages. Very similar to the Scutarii codex. Like I said before, would have been nice to have them both joined together, and I think they're going to do that soon. But in a way, I don't blame them, because if they released everything at once, it probably wouldn't have given people a chance to buy everything. And also, it's a brand new army. There's a lot of weapons in here that we haven't seen before. So I think, in hindsight, it's probably a good idea to release them separately, just because there's so much more to learn. In terms of the weapons and the units and things like that, to just throw at you. But they have done that in the past. Maybe this is their new way of releasing a large army, to do it in two parts, spread it out a bit. I really like both of these books. I mean, of course, I prefer the Mechanicum book much more. Well, it's cheaper, but also the units. I find the units more fluffy. I do really like the units in the Mechanicum. Whereas the Scutarii and Cult Mechanicus, other than the Dominus and the Breaches and even the Robot Mana Pool, the Castellans, I do find them a bit weak in a way. They've got some decent weapons, but overall they're a bit weak. They're a bit vulnerable to being assaulted. Just their saves, a few of their toughnesses. Some of them don't have direct purposes, delivery methods, things like that. Whereas the Mechanicum kind of cover those things. With really good assault units, with terrifying weaponry from afar, with big monstrous creatures, and with delivery methods. So this kind of is a missing piece of the jigsaw. So if you have all 3 and you're having a big Mechanicum army, that's the way to go. And depending on the circumstances, pick different models and different units out of all the books. And just play on all of their strengths. Because if you just picked a Scutarii army, you're going to be lacking in many areas. If you just pick a Mechanicus army, again, you're going to be lacking. Whereas if you pick units from both, you stand a better chance. But I think the Mechanicum, the Tagmata, really covers all the bases, in my opinion. But that's fair to say, because Forge World have been creating their range for quite a while, and they've got a vast array of units and models to pick from and choose from. And look how big the codex is. And remember, this does include all the Titans and the Imperial Knights, which, you know, there's no reason why you can't put one Imperial Knight with one of these, just to bump up that assault and their firepower, the long range firepower. No reason why you can't include a Crusader Knight Titan or even a Gallant, something like that, just to keep pace with the Castellans. It's up to you. But so that's my overview of the Codex Adeptus Mechanicus, Cult Mechanicus codex. It's quite a new army to me still. I'm still getting used to all the weapons and things like that. I do have that Start Collecting box set, which I'm currently trying to paint and everything. So what I'll be doing is I'll be bringing you showcases of each of the units and some tactics and things that I think might help in games. So stay tuned for them. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.